Hi, Sarah here. Welcome back. I just got married a couple weeks ago. We just did our honeymoon in Hawaii this past week. I wanted to come on and just talk about some stuff going on. Just recap the wedding a little bit, recap the honeymoon a little bit, talk about decks that I've been working with, talk about my tarot practice, tarot YouTube, tarot friends, recent and upcoming hobbies, things like that. So just a little chat. I know I tend to talk really fast in my videos, so I'm actually going to try to be conscious of speaking a little bit slower this time. I'm also going to try to let my pauses and my natural speaking voice and tone kind of come through a little bit because I know sometimes I can almost over-edit my videos. Honestly, that comes from maybe a fear of my videos being too long, but the nature of this video being a little bit more of a casual, unstructured chat, I'm just gonna try to let my voice play out naturally. We'll see how it goes. So I've got my notes here and I've got this knitting project I've been working on. So this is a vest that I'm working on. This is the front panel of it so far, little V-neck looking vest thing. I've actually already made one, which I really, really like. This is self-striping yarn, indie dyed yarn. So I really, really enjoy it. This is also more independently dyed yarn. Yeah, I've just been getting into knitting again, especially just knitting kind of repetitive projects like this that are easy to knit back and forth. But I'll talk more about my crochet and knitting recent happenings or my goals later on in the video. So I've got a few topics I wanted to go over today. So this video probably will be on the longer side, probably just a bit chattier. So as people say, grab a beverage, grab a cozy spot to sit on, grab a hobby you're working on, do whatever. Let's just hang out and chat about some stuff. Also, hope you like the purple ambiance. I don't use the smart bulb, the coloring of this lamp very much. I'm just trying to put it to use. It's actually really pretty. Oh, there's our kitty. All right, so let me get this project going and then I'll try to talk about the first topic going on. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was just recapping wedding weekend and our honeymoon week. So our wedding just happened September 30th. It was a really, really fun weekend and a wonderful culmination of the past 9 to 12 months of wedding planning. To explain the weekend, how it went, Friday afternoon and evening, we had family come over, mainly my dad's family. So they all just came over and had a great time socializing, helping prepare dinner, just catching up with each other. My dad's family is a lot on the East Coast. My dad is the only sibling to live on the West Coast, so it was really cool to just meet cousins and uncles again and say hi to them. Honestly, if there's one thing that I am good at, it's kind of knowing how to be polite to Asian elders and knowing how to greet and knowing how to chat a little bit in Vietnamese. So I just enjoyed saying hi and putting on a good face and I don't know, just saying hi to family and stuff. My mom's friends and a bit of her family were there as well. So it was just a very fun, energy-filled Friday. Saturday was super, super busy. Honestly, we couldn't get much sleep that night, just nerves and stuff. I think I ended up getting 3 hours of sleep. Andy only slept 1 hour. But we made it through the day okay. So how the day was structured was in the morning, we had 2 tea ceremonies. One is the bride's side and one is the groom's side. And we had a wedding planner, a Vietnamese wedding planner. Her name is Anne. Her business is called Plans by Anne. So we've been working with her for a few months. So she's been, of course, helping us coordinate and run through the whole day seamlessly. Super definitely recommend having a wedding planner and coordinator on your side. They helped make the day just so much more efficient, and we got everything that we wanted to do done in a timely manner. So in the morning, we have the bride's tea ceremony. The groom played some door games with his groomsmen to prove that they're worthy for the groom to take the bride. My bridesmaids just came up with some really fun games, and I'll be inserting pictures on the screen as well. Our photographer did such a great job of capturing wonderful moments. Side note with our photographer, literally just a few days after the wedding, he sent a sneak peek batch of photos from the day of, which I was not expecting because typically after an event, you usually expect photos to be available maybe a month, weeks after the event. But our photographer just sent us a batch of photos as a sneak peek or a sneak preview. And we're just so happy to have some photos to already have and look back on and remember the day fondly. We chose not to have a Western or a kind of a Christian a vow ceremony where people were walking down the aisle and we turned to each other at the altar. we wanted to have a tea ceremony to honor our ancestors and our parents and the people who helped, raise us and bring us to America and all this stuff. So the way or the purpose of a tea ceremony, at least for the bride's side and the groom's side too, is the important family members will sit in these chairs bit by bit, and they will be giving blessings and wise words, passing on from them to us, to the newlyweds. It was really cool to experience this tea ceremony and experience this part of my heritage. Even though Vietnamese is my second language and I'm not as fluent in it as my first language, English, I'm still happy that we got to have the opportunity to, again, live out like our Vietnamese heritage and honor our Vietnamese family and our ancestors through these tea ceremonies. And it was really cool seeing like my dad's siblings, like household by household, couple by couple, sit in these chairs and just know that my dad has been a part of this larger family. And we are a part of this larger family. Even if we haven't hung out with or met much my uncles and aunts and these cousins growing up, like it's still cool to know that for big events, like family is still coming through, still showing up. And I definitely got emotional, like hearing words from my mom and dad. And I actually wrote them each a letter as well, just a letter thanking them for their support growing up. And it was just a really nice, intimate and sentimental tea ceremony for me. Then we went to the groom's side and did something similar there, where his family, again, household by household with the siblings, like they just sat there and gave us well wishes. It was just really nice to share this love and these moments with our family members. After the tea ceremonies, we then went to a park. First we changed into our Western outfits, or like the typical white dress and wedding outfits. We went to a local park and just had some really nice, intimate, quiet moments with our bridesmaids and our groomsmen. So Andy and I had our first look moment. We had a moment to share our vow letters, personal vows and letters that we wrote to each other. And then our bridesmaids and groomsmen, they each came up and did some quick speeches and toasts for us. We definitely chose not to do toasts at the reception because, first of all, I feel like toasts, no one really listens to the toasts at a reception. Like everyone's just trying to eat dinner or like have conversation. And I just feel like it's really awkward when you're trying to have conversation, but then I feel like I want to be respectful and listen to whatever these people are saying as toasts at the reception. And also our wedding has 400 guests, friends and family from our parents and our sides. So I just didn't want to make our people stand up in front of 400 people and have to give like a really personal letter, a personal speech. So I'm really glad that we ended up doing what we did, which is, again, go to a park and just do our toasts and speeches and wedding party photos in our intimate park group setting. That was a nice couple of quiet hours to ourselves. Then we went to the reception, which the reception from 5 to 11 p.m. was just a whole banger of a reception the entire way through. We started off doing welcome photos with each family member or each wedding guest household that walked in. That's a really cool Vietnamese American wedding tradition that I really enjoy. It's a chance for us to like greet everyone and personally just say hi to them, grab a photo with them. We had lion dancers as part of our grand entrance, which was so much fun. And I know a lot of people really were surprised to see the lion dancers. Lion dancers, or in Vietnamese we call them mua lăng. They are one of my favorite things ever. I love seeing the mua lăng at Tết or Lunar New Year and just any other event when I can. I find the drums so exciting, and I just find the lion movement so exciting. I literally have a lion tattoo. I just love dancing lions so much. They even added a little bit of extra, extra love. They gave us a third lion, which we didn't expect. And they also added a little bit of a skit, like drunken skit with alcohol, with a Hennessy bottle. It was just such a fun time overall. Fun grand entrance. It was really fun just to sit at our sweetheart table and look out upon the sea of people, just all of these wonderful people that had come to not only support us, but more importantly, to support our family, our parents. And I, went through a whole roller coaster wondering if I even wanted like a big wedding like this, but Andy helped point out to me multiple times when I was feeling grumpy about having a lot of people at our wedding. Andy pointed out that with me being the oldest child in my family and Andy being the only child in his family, this was just a really important event. If we had like eloped or done like a small wedding, tried to cut out our parents, family members, they would have been like honestly devastated. It almost brings me to tears to like think about this. Us being born and us kind of allowing our parents to share this joy and invite all their family has been a big deal for them. And also Andy says like if we have kids in the future, he wants us to have a good relationship with our parents. And you know what? I understand that, and I understand I will go with that. Family is making sacrifices and making compromises, and I'm okay with this big wedding now. We also had some really cool vendors. We had a boba bar and a dessert bar, and they were such a hit. I'm really glad that our parents were able to help us finance this wedding. Which of course is only natural. Like if you're going to invite all your people, you better help us finance this wedding. Later on in the night, we have this thing in Vietnamese American weddings called Jiao Bang, which is table greetings. The newlyweds, they literally go around to each table and they greet each table. They maybe do a cheers, and it's kind of a time to collect like the money gifts, collect the red envelopes, collect the heartfelt cards that people write. So it's just a really fun time. And again, it just makes me really happy to be Asian, to be Vietnamese and Vietnamese American, to enjoy these traditions. Instead of a bouquet toss, I opted to do a tangerine toss instead. With the bouquet toss, I don't like the traditional meaning of, or the traditional expectation of all the single ladies get on there, and it represents, you know, whoever catches it should be the next person to get married. I don't want to highlight or call out single ladies like that. And I also don't think marriage is the goal for everybody. And I don't want it to seem like marriage should be a goal for everybody. So I chose to do tangerine tosses, and my rationale was, you know, tangerines, fruits, to me, they represent good luck. They represent prosperity, abundance, family, sharing love. Because every time your mom wants to come over, every time your mom wants to show love, instead of saying, I love you, she'll just give you a plate of cut up fruit. And I just think fruits are a form of love. So I just wanted to toss tangerines as a fun activity to represent love instead of single ladies getting married. I definitely tossed a few tangerines. I did not practice any of the tossing beforehand. I really wish I had. I did not get to, but it was a fun time. I am embarrassed about how bad my tosses were, but it's okay. I guess it made for fun pictures and fun memories. And Andy decided to do an unconventional bouquet toss. He decided to toss a box of Legos, a Lego bouquet. And some kid was very, very happy in getting that Lego bouquet. It was a fun couple of activities. Then after that was just a couple hours of super, super fun dance party. And that was the end of the night. I almost forgot to mention my sibling Avery designed, developed, and built these wooden sets for our wedding. I am just so happy and so proud that they were able to pull this together. I just gave them free reign over how they wanted to design it and build it. And these sets were so well received. One of the sets was a face cutout, so people could just put their faces in, take cute pictures. And another one had a moon with an apple box on the back, so you could just sit on the moon and take some wonderful pictures. I'm just so in awe that Avery really built this just with their own two hands. And I'm glad that they got to express their creativity this way. The next day, we had the Airbnb for a little longer, so we actually invited some friends over, and people just came over and ate food, just hung out. My parents and their families actually decided to just get food on their own terms. So actually Sunday was a lot more chill than the previous couple days, which was really nice. We really got to just enjoy the house to ourselves and enjoy board games and charade games. And it was just such a fun time. Super, super happy with how the wedding weekend went. Like, just went off without a hitch. Coordinator, bridesmaids, groomsmen, everyone really did their part. All the vendors were great. Everything was just fantastic. I'm just really happy with how our wedding weekend turned out, and I will be reliving it through photos for a while afterward. I already talked for, oh my gosh, like 10 minutes about the wedding, but I'll talk a little bit about the honeymoon. Andy and I went to Hawaii for a week. It was the longest trip that we've been on together, besides Vietnam, for 2 weeks. Typically with our out-of-state trips before now, it was only been like 4 or 5 days. So going on a 7-day trip was a little bit daunting for me. And I did end up feeling kind of bored like the last couple of days. But I think ultimately the boredom was still a good thing, because when I'm home, I tend to feel overwhelmed and pressured about all the things that I want to do and all the hobbies and everything that I want to do. Allowing myself or making myself be bored in Hawaii for a little bit was very much necessary. We only did like a couple of activities each day. We definitely kept our days relatively unstructured and open. We didn't have too many like bucket list items either. We just really enjoyed like walking to the beach and enjoying the sun. We enjoyed outdoor activities. We went ziplining a bit. We also went parasailing. I wish we had gone to take photos or videos. We kind of forgot / denied. We didn't want to pay $40 for the photos, but we really enjoyed just outdoor activities, and I tried to be off my phone as much as I could because I'm realizing I have a bit of a phone addiction. But yeah, so just Hawaii honeymoon was fantastic, and I feel a bit more refreshed and just happy that we got to take a week off to just enjoy ourselves and enjoy some time off, time at the beaches, a chill time outside of the bustling, hustling city of Los Angeles. Definitely one of the best weeks, 2 of the best weeks of the year. Very blessed to have experienced those things. So next, I wanted to talk about tarot practice, tarot YouTube, just tarot friends, just my tarot things overall. I got a lot of bullet points here. I don't really know how to structure this or make a flow, but you're just going to hear my rambling thoughts. First thing I wrote here was talking about Tarottube, watching Tarottube. So sometimes I've had to become more mindful of how much or what mindset I'm in when I'm watching Tarottube. You know, before making a channel, it used to be a source of joy, of fun, of inspiration for me. But now, because I am more interested in making videos on YouTube, sometimes I have to be mindful of watching Tarottube becoming work for me, basically. It becomes pressure for me to do research for content ideas. So instead of like watching the tarot video just for fun, maybe what's going through my mind is, what can I use to write a nice comment, a useful comment, so this person can like appreciate my channel or watch my channel? What can I do to like write a good comment for this person? Or maybe I'm looking at this video and trying to think of ideas on how to make it into a video for my own channel. And so it just becomes work in that way. And even though, yes, maintaining a YouTube channel is work and making videos is work, I still want to enjoy making videos and I still want to enjoy watching YouTube. So I've just had to be mindful of, you know, not making this hobby into work too much. And with YouTube, because the community is so large, because there are so many people that are making videos, making video ideas, making video content, sometimes that pressure to make content just overwhelms me. It makes me feel like I also want to jump on the bandwagon a little bit, and I want to share and record things almost as fast as other people seem to be sharing or recording things. But I'm someone who likes to take a long time to meditate on things, to process on things. Like, for example, the 54321 tag by Kelly Bear, like a couple weeks ago, it came out a couple weeks ago. It feels like some people can make video responses to that like pretty quickly. But for some reason, I just like to take a while to really think on my responses, what I would want to say, how I would want to say it. I just like to take a long time to think about things. And sometimes I feel guilty or pressured because, again, I want to make videos at the same rate that other people seem to be making videos, but I'm just not that type of person. I just take a while to process things. That's okay, you know? I had to remind myself that it's okay. Sometimes it feels like everybody is making videos because I'm comparing the results of watching 50 people compared to myself as one person making stuff. So of course it's going to seem like other people are making more things than I am because I'm comparing my workload to 50 people's workload. So, you know, just reminders that I have to take things at my own pace. And something else that I also need to keep reminding myself of is that my goal is not a high subscriber count, which is easier said than done. It's always a nice hit of dopamine when I see how many subscribers I have. But truly, what I truly want is to be able to express myself authentically. I want to feel like I'm sharing from the heart and not just sharing for the sake of putting out content that is a bit mindless. It's important to me that I feel like I'm speaking from the heart. And it's important to me to connect with and comment on people's videos from the heart instead of, again, maybe just leaving a comment for leaving a comment's sake. I just want to escape any like hustle culture or like clout culture that I might have grown up with, you know? I'm not trying to do YouTube for the hustle or for the clout or for like popularity. I just want to share what's on my heart. It's not about having a high subscriber count or a high view count. It's just about sharing what's from my heart. So overall, just assessing like how my channel is going and how I want to continue doing my channel and videos in the future. I want to make videos when I feel inspired to talk. Because again, with the whole pressure theme, sometimes I feel pressured or I pressure myself to want to make a video or record when I don't actually feel like talking. Being in tune with myself knowing when is a day that I feel like talking, then I can turn on the camera and start talking and start recording that way. On days that I don't feel like talking, then don't force myself to talk. I don't have to adhere to putting out one video a week. It's work. And is that work that I want to do? I don't know. Have to question myself and check myself on that. Now, moving on to other parts of my tarot practice besides tarot YouTube, just talking about my tarot practice in general, I want to enjoy tarot and I want to do readings whenever I find it helpful. At the beginning of the year, for a few months, I was subscribed to a monthly membership where someone created a bunch of monthly themes and spreads, and I enjoyed it for like a couple months, but I just found that the process of rotating decks out each month wasn't really working for me. The process of doing new readings every month and every week just really wasn't working for me. Again, with the like kind of Taurus energy, the slow moving earthly energy, I take a long time to process things. I don't really like to do readings like every day or even every week. I would like to, but the fact is I just don't find too much value in doing readings like that. I think when readings get too routine like that, it becomes boring and just a bit unhelpful for me. Maybe there are times in the past or in the future when routine might be helpful, but for now, routine isn't really my vibe right now. And I'm finding that with the other tarot series that I'm doing too. Maybe I want to keep knitting while I talk. Maybe I do. So with the tarot series that I'm kind of trying out, testing the waters with, I've got a couple ongoing, Tarot in Practice, which is when I share 3 different exercises I'm doing with a deck per month. Test Driving Tarot is a series where I'm just testing readings on the fly with a deck on the table. I started these series and I'm trying out these series because I really, really like seeing decks in action. I think there is a plethora of tarot review, tarot unboxing content on YouTube, which of course has its value. For me, I don't like doing reviews or unboxings. I don't think I'm articulate enough or really well read enough to do reviews. And I don't really like unboxings either because I just tend to talk in circles and I think unboxings would just be pretty uninteresting from my perspective. And I really just like reading cards too. So I just wanted to share how I read cards through Tarot in Practice and through Test Driving Tarot. I have found that if I do them too often, if I try to adhere to a schedule or try to do them consistently, I again run into the same problem of it feeling kind of boring and I'm just going through the motions of reading tarot instead of, finding true inspiration and true helpfulness in tarot. I'm still going to keep doing these readings, but I think I just have to remember to do them when I feel inspired, no matter how long it takes, instead of forcing myself or pressuring myself to adhere to a certain monthly or regular schedule with these readings. So essentially, I'm saying that having too much structure, too much rigidity in my tarot readings, tarot practice isn't really working. So I'm going to keep trying to do tarot when it works for me. If I can remember to record, if I feel like recording, cool. But if I don't feel like recording, I shouldn't force myself to try to do that. And one more aspect of tarot practice, tarot things that I am enjoying is meetups and activities with my tarot friends. And Tarot Friends is two communities of tarot friends that I'm really into. One is our local Asian meetup group that I help admin the community of. We have a small tarot meetup group who regularly meets online and in person. We just really enjoy hanging out at each other's places and looking at each other's decks. Recently, we've been doing some tarot activities at these meetups. I actually just had one today at my friend's place. She led us through a couple of activities, a journaling activity, journaling about prompts related to the eclipse in Libra. So we learned about some Libra things. And we also did some buddy readings where we practiced free writing and making a story out of a 3-card reading. So I really enjoy that we've been doing tarot meetups and especially tarot activities. Just learning to do tarot in person with friends and reading to each other and sharing these deck nerdy things with each other. It's just so much fun, and I'm so grateful to have a local Asian group of friends, especially group of tarot nerdy friends. And the other friend community that I'm really into is Satswitch's tarot community. This month, the mods were gracious enough. They let me have my own tarot event. So every week this month, I've been coming up with new prompts for tarot readings and tarot activities, tarot discussions, and people have been really enjoying them. I actually might record some of those prompts and share them with y'all on this channel as well. So I just really enjoy getting to connect with people on a smaller scale. I think YouTube is a wonderful platform for broadcasting my voice, but sometimes the nature of talking out loud versus commenting in text, sometimes there is a disconnect for me there. So when I'm able to run events or activities or participate in activities, tarot activities with friends online in real time or in person at meetups or in voice call events online, voice to voice, like I really find a lot of value in them. And I especially really like Discord. It's an easy way for me to keep up with people without having to actively participate in conversations. It's really nice to be able to listen and lurk in conversations and chime in whenever I feel like. I really enjoy this part of my tarot practice, tarot life. I hope to continue doing tarot events and tarot activities with friends in real life and online in the future. So now let's talk about a few decks, deck experiences I've had recently, decks I'm looking forward to working with, just decks. I imagine this will probably be the most watched part of the video, which I totally understand. I'll also just pop some B-roll of me flipping through the cards so that you'll have some visuals to actually look at. So recent deck experiences. So I recently tried to do a tarot and practice video with the Tarot in Space Cosmic Zen. The rationale behind this was in September, I would be using this deck in preparation for our space-themed wedding and to, I don't know, shine some extraterrestrial, space-y kind of energy. Unfortunately, I found this deck really hard to read with, and I'm pretty disappointed to admit this because I'm a big champion of this deck. I feel like it's an underrated deck creator, and this creator has done many editions of this deck where their art has evolved a lot over time and with each edition. But yeah, I just couldn't emotionally connect with these cards. I find the art really pretty to look at, and it serves that purpose of being very aesthetically pretty. But as for being a deck that I wanted to read with and emotionally connect with, I just couldn't emotionally connect with this deck. But, maybe that's not the purpose of this deck for me. Maybe for me, this deck will just be a way to learn about the cards, to appreciate the aesthetic. I found this deck very simple, I guess. It didn't feel like there was a lot of depth to really dive into. And maybe at this point, in September, I really wanted a deck that I could get lost in and just really dive into more instead of a deck that is just an easy reader. A deck that I was actually into more was the Flow Tarot. I actually just bought this bag in Hawaii. It's made with leather and it just fits the cards perfectly, especially when I squeeze the bag in there. And this deck is themed around water, so every card in this deck is all water themed. I just grabbed this deck in the middle of September because the Tarot in Space wasn't connecting with me, and I just found this deck a lot easier for me to read with. It just was more what I needed in the moment. Granted, I don't think I did that many tarot readings in September anyway because I was just so busy with wedding planning, but I feel like this deck was more what I needed. I needed a deck where I could just pull a card or two and really think about the meaning of the card, the photography of the card, the keywords, the phrases, the themes of the card. So the Flow Tarot provided a lot more depth. In September, I also brought it with me on my honeymoon to Hawaii. I just really enjoyed having this deck for the occasional card pulls that I needed. And maybe it's a trend of me leaning more towards photography decks in the meantime. Maybe I'm getting a little tired of the digital art look. And maybe that's just what my brain, my heart, my mind is craving, just some more photography art. So that was my experience with the Flow Tarot. Another deck I've been playing around with recently has been the Colorful Tears Tarot. This one just came out on Kickstarter this year, so it is very recent. This deck is definitely like no other deck I've had before. I didn't even imagine I would be into this deck, but surprisingly, I am really into it. It follows a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith stuff, and yet it's very reimagined to the point that every card gives me a lot of different things to look at. Honestly, I have trouble reading with it intuitively, I guess, but how I've been using this deck is I brought it out for the couple of buddy reading activities that we did. So the buddy reading activities that I ran and that my friend ran, the way the buddy reading goes is you draw cards, lay them out in a spread, and you have a certain amount of time, say 3 minutes or even just 1 minute, to free write any associations, thoughts, observations about the card. So choosing this deck has been really cool for me because it just really shakes me out of the typical Rider-Waite-Smith imagery that I'm so used to. These cards, again, are just unlike any other cards or art that I've seen. It just really brings me out of my shell, my comfort zone, and it forces me to just observe what's on the card instead of falling back on my traditional Rider-Waite-Smith meanings. So I really enjoyed using this deck just a couple of times for these practice free writing exercises that we did, and I'm looking forward to continuing working with this deck a little bit whenever I get around to it, seeing how that works out. And also, the guidebook for this deck is really chunky. Look how big this guidebook is. It is just a really, really thick deck. Every card has like 2-3 pages on it. Yeah, 2 or 3 pages. That's a lot for a guidebook. So I'm really excited for whenever I get around to working with it. I want to read the guidebook some more and just see more of what this deck has to offer. A recent deck I purchased, I guess colloquially, I call it the 1909 Sawyer Redux Tarot. So this is the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot redrawn in Jamie Sawyer's style. And I've been really, really enjoying at least looking at this deck as well. I haven't done readings with it. I haven't done readings with the Rider-Waite-Smith type of deck in a while, but I'm really enjoying reading with this deck. I definitely kind of got it because I know that Jamie Sawyer is not reprinting her decks right now because she's focusing on other tarot things. So after waffling a bit on this deck, I decided to bite the bullet and buy it. And I'm really glad that I did buy this because it's just really, really beautiful to look at. Compared to the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot, this deck feels a lot cleaner and brighter. The lines are a lot easier to look at. And I really appreciate that Jamie Sawyer changed up the skin tones in this deck a little bit and the genders as well. It's a nice extra touch. Yeah, recent purchase. I'm going to figure out what else to do with this deck in the future. But yeah, just really, really happy to have this. That was it for kind of recent deck experiences. Now moving on to like upcoming decks that I want to work with or look at. I've mentioned in a couple videos this year that the Cosmovisions Oracle has been on loan to different friends. I finally have it back, but who knows how long it'll be before another friend decides to borrow this. I'm hoping to work with it again in the next couple months and just figure out if I want to keep this, how I want to work with it, figure out things like that. What I like about this deck is the majors. I think the majors are super cool. The minors, I don't really care for the minors. I'm very stuck on the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, and I just don't see too much of those meanings in the minor cards. I think the Spirit of Being or the court cards are kind of cool, so I might find a way to work with them. I definitely just like the major cards overall. And actually, on his website, James R. Eads offers the Cosmovisions art cards of just the majors. So honestly, if when I decide that I don't want the Cosmovisions Oracle, I can at least buy the Cosmovisions Oracle art cards and have the majors, and I think that'll serve pretty much the same purpose. So I think essentially what I'm going to do with this Cosmovisions Oracle is eventually just take notes on the majors or the minors or the courts, really glean whatever I can from this deck. Once I've studied it enough, I feel like I've gotten what I need out of it, I might be ready to pass it on then. Another deck that I finally have back is the Lillifer Tarot, which I put in this Christmas tarot bag. My friend has also borrowed this for a few months and she's finally about done with it, so I'm having it back in my hands today. This is the first edition without the extra titles or notes. I did buy the extra guidebook, so now I have the second edition's guidebook with a little bit more detail in the guidebook. I'm looking forward to eventually working with this as well. I really enjoyed the flowiness of the art here. I really, really like this person's art style, Marion Constantin. I really like their art style. The flowiness of the cards, the flowiness of the figures, how some figures are big, some are skinny. They're not just all the same size. I just really like the abstract, the watercolor look of this deck. I am just in love with the aesthetic of this deck, and I'm really looking forward to eventually working with this one as well and getting some meaning out of it and studying it and just making my own practice with the Lillifer Tarot. And one more deck that I'm going to be working with pretty soon is the Somnia Tarot. This deck, as I've mentioned a little bit, I use this deck mainly for past life readings. I would like to use it for other types of readings eventually, but for past life readings, this deck just feels like it really, really clicks for me. The images in this deck are all photographic. The fact that there are no faces in this deck is just really potent for me. I just find it a really fitting deck for past life type readings. I used this for past life readings all October last year. I plan on reopening offers for past life readings for people this year. I might even do another video this year on past life readings on my channel just to demonstrate it on camera. Since I am secular/agnostic, I don't really claim to have connections to spirits or ancestors or past lives, but the style that I've developed for my past life readings, I feel like it really connects with people. And I find a lot of value in practicing doing these past life readings as well with the Somnia Tarot. So looking forward to using this deck more this month and putting some past life readings out there. And about tarot decks, I want to continue to be especially mindful of how much I buy or how much I'm lusting after new decks, because I have a lot of decks in my collection, many of which I have not worked with yet or worked with thoroughly to my liking. And the typical disclaimer. If this is your style, if this is your habit, if it makes you happy, like that's your thing. I'm speaking my truth, and my truth is that I just want to make sure that I'm using and appreciating the decks that I have before buying more. And like I mentioned before, I just take a long time to process things. For some reason, routine readings every day or every week don't always work for me. Doing tarot readings because I feel like I should doesn't always work for me. And I just need to use the decks that I have. I want to feel the satisfaction of having really worked through a deck instead of buying 5 new decks that I may or may not work through in the next month or even the next year. I literally have decks from last year or even the year before that I just haven't cracked open or worked through yet. And, even though I could wait till I feel called to, I also just want to nudge myself to see if I like these decks. Because there was a point at one point when I was excited to buy these decks and I was excited for them to come in the mail. Eventually, I want to crack open these decks and rekindle that excitement and see if these decks are worth keeping around. And maybe that's a reason why I enjoy and I try to keep up with this Tarot in Practice and Test Driving Tarot series. It's because I like watching decks be used on camera. If I can't have the deck right now, I'd love to see how other people use it. I'd love to see how other people think about these decks. I'd love to see how other people apply their experiences, use spreads with these different decks. So, that is my wish for YouTube. But if I could say a wish for people out there, I just want to see more readings with decks and more Tarot in Practice type videos. I just want to see how people are using these decks so I can live vicariously through you without having to buy that deck for myself. So that's a recap of decks I've used recently, some decks I'm looking forward to working with. I know some of y'all might click off before watching the rest of this video because you got what you needed. If that's the case, I'll just say goodbye. Thanks for watching. See you next time. For people who are still here and watching, the last part of this video I wanted to talk about was just sharing some other hobbies and enjoyments, goals and intentions that I have. I have a lot of hobbies and a lot of things that I'm into. And like I mentioned earlier, sometimes I can be overwhelmed with how much I want to do. Sometimes I have a lot of wands energy and I don't have enough pentacles energies or spoons to keep up with all the things that I actually want to do. But I think that's kind of a good problem to have. I think it's okay to dream and to imagine and to envision things. So one hobby, one topic, one area is crocheting and knitting, just the fiber arts. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I am getting more into knitting. I used to be into crocheting a lot. I've made crochet garments. I'm kind of tired of them, especially in California. It's hard to wear knitted or crocheted garments because it is really, really hot in the summers. Crochet especially creates kind of a double layer of fabric, whereas knitting kind of creates a single layer of yarn of fabric. So I've been straying away from crocheting garments and stuff and accessories and moving more into knitting instead. Oh, hello cat. I've had a few years of crocheting amigurumi or plushes. So I was selling my crochet dolls and plushes for a few years. I'm not really sure if I want to continue doing that. It is work and it's a lot of detailed work, and sometimes working under a deadline just isn't that fun. So I'm thinking of making a crochet blog where I can just put up my patterns and my notes, honestly for free. Maybe I'll run a few ads on it, but I just want to put my notes out there and hopefully it'll help someone else make cute dolls and cute plushes. So eventually I will make a crochet blog. And again, I've been into knitting. I've been really, really enjoying knitting with indie dyed yarn. It just creates such a cool, variegated pattern that I just really enjoy. I know that indie yarn can be really expensive, but I think that helps me maybe want to buy yarn less. I have a lot of acrylic yarn that I'm trying to work through and finish up because, like tarot decks, yarn is very easy to buy and very hard to use up all the way. Maybe I'll knit scarves, maybe I'll knit shawls. I don't know if I'm going to sell my finished knitting pieces later on. I just don't want to worry too much about selling. I just want to worry about making things that I like. Another thing I really enjoy is just making meetups, coordinating meetups with my friends. It could be local meetups where we just go to each other's places and hang out. It could even be meetups at local places around LA and Orange County. I do want to experience more small businesses and just experience more outdoorsy activities, but this could also include activities and trips with friends that are out of town even. Andy and I experienced our first trips with only our friends without each other this past July. We had our bachelor and bachelorette parties with our respective groomsmen and bridesmaids, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. That was one of the first trips that I ever took with friends, with no partner, no family. Granted, I have gone to sorority leadership conferences when I was in college, so there was that with friends, but going out of state with friends this past year for the first time really was just such a cool travel experience. It was really cool to experience a new place all together, have a group effort in coordinating dinners and things to do. It was a lot of fun. So this upcoming year, I would love to see what other out-of-state trips or even just out-of-town trips we can do with our friends. I wonder if an international trip is in the books. I don't know, maybe that's a couple years from now. I'm still in that Taurus phase, slow moving, takes time to process things. If there's anything I've learned from the past year of wedding planning, it's that isolation is so easy to get into and it takes so much effort to counteract. Since we work from home and since we have a small apartment and since wedding planning is all done at home, it was very easy for Andy and me to just become isolated in our apartment and just do things like by ourselves, to forget to socialize with friends, to forget to go out with friends. So I want to make sure that I'm consistently hanging out with friends, continuing to nurture these relationships outside of my romantic relationship. And like our society just really encourages only spending time with your partner, your romantic partner, your life partner. I think it's just easy to forget that relationships and experiences with our friends is just as important as our primary partnership. So I just want to get closer to my friends and have more life experiences and outdoorsy experiences. And one more hobby or interest or thing I want to share is I have been getting more into decorating my journal. And I'm going to insert some B-roll here as well. The way that my journaling used to be has been very cut and dry, very basic, cut and dry text on paper, writing on paper, barely any highlighting, barely anything decorative. For many, many years, I was always of the mind of function over form. Functionality is more important than decorating. I found decorating honestly kind of a waste of time. But in the past month, especially, as I needed a break from watching tarot YouTube and just my other podcasts and Spotify and audiobooks weren't really cutting it, I turned to a new outlet, art journaling, decorating my journal with stickers and washi tape. And boy, I cannot believe I never was into this before. I have found so much joy in just sticking stickers and random bits of washi tape in my journal. I'm getting a little bit into scrapbook journaling as well. I literally just dropped a bunch of money on a lot of stickers and washi tape from Etsy. And, it's definitely a binge, but I think I'm good for now. I have a lot of stickers to choose from. I don't need to buy any more for a long time. The inspiration came from a couple of tarot meetups ago when a couple of other friends shared their journals, and I saw how a couple of them had these photo printers. These printers print photos on stickers. So I was like, I'm inspired. I think it's pretty cool to print out these photos and have them as a keepsake in my journal. So I'm going to actually try doing that. So I got my own photo printer. Again, got a bunch of stickers and stuff, and now I'm really, really enjoying decorating my journal. I now understand why people are into decorative. It's not about it being the most perfect, whatever. It's literally just about hodgepodging whatever you want on the page. So yeah, new interest unlocked, art journaling and collaging. And sort of related to that, I've also been into sending out postcards and little note cards. I sent my aunt, one of my favorite aunts, a postcard a couple months back, and she really enjoyed it. I just sent out another couple of postcards to one of my friends and one of my childhood friends / pen pals, and they also really enjoyed it. I get to decorate the postcard. I get to send someone some nice mail. Just really fun. Loving these new interests. So that was the whole chatty video. I've been filming for about an hour at this point. I'm sure this video is going to be pretty long, but you know what? Sometimes it's okay to just talk a little bit. Maybe people are interested in listening. So now, opening the floor to y'all who are still here, who are listening. What kinds of stuff have you been into? What kinds of goals or intentions are you hoping to work towards? What decks have you been using? What decks are you looking forward to using? Just tell me about anything going on in your life as well. That's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Bye. All right, Susie, you want to say something? No, don't leave. Goodbye, kitty. Goodbye.